Alrighty. Well, welcome to life on the orange planet. Here we go now. There we go. That'll be a little better. Rocky's over there. He is. Hello, Rocky. Mm-hmm. Anyway, um, yeah. He's over there, I guess, yeah. It's hard for me to see what the camera's picking up because when I have the thing facing towards me, the screen has like a white, especially when I have the light on, the screen has this white glow to it, and it kind of makes it hard to see what's in front of me. Anyway, I was just watching a short video on here, and this girl, this young woman, she looks to be in her early 20s, I would say. She was sitting there making a video, and she was talking about how uh, these friends of hers, this couple that she went to school with, she said they accidentally became pregnant. Now I kind of know what she means, because obviously if you're having sex, pregnancy can happen. Even if you're careful not to have it happen, birth control methods, there's none of them that are 100%. Really. Other than maybe, surgery or whatever, getting your tubes tied or getting a vasectomy or whatever. Other than that, there really isn't anything that's 100%. But it still seemed kind of funny to say accidentally. It made it sound like they were in a car accident or walking down the street and something fell over on top of them or something, But anyway, that aside, kind of there's like a, and I find this now, there's a lot of there's a lot of abdicating personal responsibility. Like a king can abdicate the throne, which means he gives up the throne, gives up his title of king. Well, people tend to abdicate personal responsibility. They give up personal responsibility. Now, they still want to be king of their own life. They still want to call the shots, but they don't want the personal responsibility. And that's where this business of saying, well, they became accidentally pregnant. Well, no, I mean, look, you didn't have sex accidentally. I'll tell you what, I'm 56 years old. I'm going to be 57 this year. And I'll admit, I haven't had a lot of sex. Women generally have not liked me that way. But when I was younger, I had a little bit of sex. And it never happened accidentally. It's not like I bumped into a woman walking down the street and we ended up, we were and we were having sex, and I'm sorry, it seems my penis went inside of you. I mean, I'm sorry when I bumped into you. My bad. That's never happened. You don't accidentally have sex, and therefore you don't accidentally get pregnant. Because if you have half a brain, if you're having sex, there's that. That's always a possibility. Even if you're taking precautions, which if you don't want to get pregnant, you probably should be taking precautions. But still, nothing's 100%. So let's just set that aside, though, and move on. Because that's not really the point that I'm trying to make here. That was just one thing that I saw that I kind of, when she said that, they accidentally became pregnant, I thought, well, that's typical. That's the abdication of responsibility right there that I see so often. And trying to downplay their role in what happened. But let's move on from that, and I'll get to the crux of the matter here. She then said that she thought, okay, they can get rid of it, which again is a very cold, I don't know, again, it's a get rid of it, like you're getting rid of a sack of garbage or something, That bothered me too. But anyway, that's still not the point I'm trying to make, though. That was just another thing that this young lady said that really kind of bothered me. And then made me feel like, that this is a person who needs to rethink a lot of her ideas. But what got to me, though, was she says now they can get rid of it. Well, she was, I guess, railing to different friends about this, going on about it to different friends, saying, because she's hell bent that this girl, this female friend of hers who got pregnant to her boyfriend, should, as she says, get rid of it, basically have an abortion. And she was going on to this other friend, another young woman, about it. And this other young woman made a good point. The other young woman said, "Okay, so you're pro-choice." "Yeah," she said, "of course I am." The young woman said, "Okay, choice means that there's more than one option." "Well, yeah. So she can also choose to keep the baby." Well, I guess that did make this girl think just briefly. But now what she's thinking is, am I really pro-choice? Like, should I be pro-choice if one of the choices is to keep it, as she says? So now she's thinking maybe I should just be, abortion is the only option, there is no choice, as opposed to being pro-choice, which would mean that there are two options, at least a minimum of two options. Because look, if I'm running a restaurant and I call my restaurant Tom's House of Stew, and all I serve in my restaurant is beef stew, and all day long I toil away in my restaurant with my big pots on the stove cooking beef stew, and if you come into my restaurant, I'm going to serve you beef stew because that's all I have. Well, then, if you're a customer and you come into my restaurant and I say, "Can I help you?" "Yeah," they say. "What do you have on the menu?" And I say, "Well, this is Tom's House of Stew." And I said, "I serve beef stew here," if I do that. And they say, yeah, beef stew's all right, but I don't think I want that today. I'll have fish and chips." Well, I'm going to look at them and say, "Okay, go outside and read the sign." I painted that myself. I think I did a pretty good job. Let me know. Come back in and let me know what you think of my sign. I think I did a pretty good job. But read what it says. Because if you look at it, it says Tom's House of Beef Stew. Tom's House of Stew. It does not say Tom's House of Stew and fish and chips or and other things or any. It says Tom's House of Stew. I made the sign like that because I only serve stew here. So if you don't want stew, then I can't help you. I don't have anything else. Look, I'd help you if I could, but I don't have anything else. I got stew. Would you like a bowl of stew? Well, no, I don't think so. Well, okay, if you're going to eat here, you only have one choice, which really isn't a choice. I mean, your choice is to eat here or not eat here. If you don't want stew and you want something else, then you need to go down the street to another place that serves the other thing that you want. Because here you just have the one thing available, which is stew. So your only choice is eat here or don't eat here. If you want stew, then eat here. I make a damn good stew. If you don't want stew, go elsewhere. Well, I mean, the thing is, basically that's what her friend pointed out to her, is that, okay, choice means choice. Choice means there's more than one option. But see, she's so in love with the idea that her pregnant friend, should abort the pregnancy, should abort it, as she says, that she doesn't want to hear that. So that's why she very self-righteously at the end said, well, a lot of my friends should not be parents. Okay, well, that could very well be true. I mean, and maybe this girl really shouldn't be a parent. Maybe she's not ready for parenthood, this girl who's gotten pregnant. But see, here's the thing. A woman can get pregnant when she's still a girl, really. I mean, they can get pregnant fairly young. And yeah, they can get pregnant before they're ready for parenthood. That is true. And I mean, a young guy, a young man can get a girl pregnant too before he's ready for parenthood. But, I mean, to say, well, they should just get rid of it, I mean, and that's the only option. I'm pro-choice, but I only consider one option as viable. Well, then you're not pro-choice. Because as her friend rightly pointed out, choice means more than one option. So, personally, I don't know any of these people. These are just strangers on the internet. But I do hope that young lady keeps her baby. And I hope that it all works out. And I hope that she is able to be a good parent, a good mother to that baby. And I hope that her boyfriend stays with her. And I hope he is able to be a good father to that baby. And even if they don't stay together ultimately, I hope that he will always be in that child's life. And I hope that she has a good support system with her parents and whatnot too, and other people to help her, because she's going to need some help. They both are, But if they have all that going on, then it could work out pretty well. And even if they don't, I don't think that taking the life of the unborn child is the answer. It may be that they need to consider adoption or some other option. But the bottom line is this. Well, I understand what that young lady was saying about people not being ready to be parents and all that. It does seem funny. See, now her friend has pointed out, though, the contradiction, because her friend says, well, according to you, there's only one option, though, so you're not pro-choice. And she's saying, well, maybe I'm not pro-choice, because as far as I'm concerned, the only thing to do is to get rid of it. So, so she's had some sort of a realization, although she still hasn't opened up her mind to the other possibility, or to any of the other possibilities. To her, there's still only one option. Now, she at least recognizes that. I'll give her that. And she realizes that, okay, I call myself pro-choice, but I'm really not, because as far as I'm concerned, there's only one option. Well, that makes her less of a hypocrite at this point than she was before. Because she's acknowledging, okay, I'm basically a militant abortionist. I only want one outcome in this situation. I only see one outcome as possible. But anyway, like I say, it's just interesting, to sometimes just to see where people are at in their minds. And but it's also kind of sad, as I'm thinking to myself, okay, I wouldn't be surprised if that young lady who was speaking about saying her friend should only be considering one thing, which is abortion, she too is probably sexually active. That wouldn't surprise me. And the thing is, the same could happen with her, and now we know what her decision's going to be. And so, to me, that concerns me. It makes me kind of frightened, really, about the possible outcome there. If she should accidentally, I'll put it in quotes, get pregnant, if some guy just not looking where he's going should bump into her on the street and his penis should go inside of her or something, Don't quite, like I say, I don't quite know how that works. That's never happened to me, but anyway, you know, reminds me of that old, I don't know if any of you will remember this, but maybe it was just up here in Canada, this commercial. I don't know if they had it other places or not, but back about 40 years ago, 45 years ago, there was a commercial on television for Reese's peanut butter cups. And they showed a guy walking down the street, and he's eating a big bar of chocolate. You got the, eating a chocolate there. And there's another guy walking down the street, and he's got a jar of peanut butter and a spoon, and he's like, eating the peanut butter. Now, who does that? I don't know, but it was comical anyway. But I've seen people walk down the street eating a chocolate bar, but I've never seen anybody walking down the street eating a jar of peanut butter. But this guy was doing it. He had his jar of peanut butter. Well, each of them goes around the corner, walking in the opposite direction. They bump into each other, and the chocolate bar flies out of the guy's hand and lands in the jar of peanut butter. And then, of course, the guy with the peanut butter jar pulls the chocolate bar out, and he takes a bite. First he says, "Oh, you got your chocolate in my peanut butter." And the other guy says, "You got your peanut butter on my chocolate." And then he takes a bite and says, "Oh, this is good," And they were saying, well, that's how the Reese's peanut butter cup was born or whatever. But sort of reminds me of that. Maybe that's what happened. Only instead of with food, it was with genitals. I don't know. I really don't know. Like I say, they accidentally got pregnant anyway. But yeah. Oh, the abdication of personal responsibility is something else in modern society. Nobody's ever to blame for anything. I'm a bastard because my dad was a bastard. I'm a bitch because my mom was a bitch. I'm a lazy, worthless sack of crap because the world owes me. The world has been hard on me and it owes me or whatever. And there's never any taking into account personal choice. That I'm in this situation because of choices I made. Look, the situation I'm in right now, I'm not going to say that I'm not a victim in some respects. I'm not going to say that I didn't have dealings with people who didn't have the best intentions and that didn't lead to my current situation. But what I will say is that I trusted the wrong people. I didn't use discernment properly. And because I trusted people I shouldn't have trusted, I got burned. And I got burned in a big way, too. I made some bad decisions. Now, does that absolve the people who did stab me in the back? Does that absolve them from their personal responsibility for what they did? No, it doesn't, because they made choices too. And they made a choice to do what they did. But I made a choice to put myself in a position where they could do it. So you see, I'm not entirely innocent in this thing. I mismanaged my affairs. And here I am in this camper in a field, sick, and everything else. I mean, it's not good, but it could be worse, though. Could be far worse. But it's still not a great situation. But in some respects, at least, I put myself here. And that's just a fact. And that's not something that I want to admit. That's not something that I'm not here very pridefully saying, hey, look what I did to myself. Look how I have failed. That's not what I'm doing. Look at me. I mean, but the thing is, the reality is I did fail in a lot of ways. I made some bad decisions. And so I am responsible for my own situation, for my own circumstance. And the thing is, you take my cat Muella now, who got eaten by a fisher. That happened. Like, I was accused by a friend of decapitating her, which was insane. I never did that. She was decapitated, but that was by a fisher in the woods. A fisher will take the head off its victim, off its prey, and they drink the blood, is what they do. They're a weasel. A fisher is part of the part of the weasel family. Weasels are blood eaters, Just in case you wondered, that's what they are. Anyway, so I didn't actually decapitate her. But in a way, I did kill her. Because I created the situation where that could happen through my own mismanagement of things. So in that sense, I am responsible for the fact that she died the way she did. And see, we need for people, though, to have more of an acceptance of their own role in things and their own responsibility in things. And I find that a lot of the time, people want to play the victim and they want to pretend that they're just a victim of circumstance and that they didn't do it. Look, like this. You make a decision to go down into some really bad area of a city. Now, I mean, if we're living in a perfect world, you should be able to go anywhere and be totally safe. But we know that that's not the world we're living in. So let's say you make a decision to go into a really bad area of a city, and something bad happens to you down there. Then yes, you're a victim. You're a victim. That shouldn't have happened. Whoever did that to you, shame on them for doing that. But, it wouldn't have happened if you had stayed the hell out of a place you didn't belong. So you're still responsible for that in a way. No, I mean, it can happen that you accidentally get into a place you shouldn't be. If you're not familiar with an area and you get into a place, maybe you make a wrong turn somewhere, you get on you get onto an off-ramp off an expressway and you end up going down into some neighborhood and something happens to you before you can get out of there. You recognize that you've made a mistake, but you can't, you got to get back out of there. That sort of thing can happen. But if you make a conscious decision to go in there, a place where you don't belong, and you get hurt, yes, you're a victim. That shouldn't happen. But you should have stayed the hell out of there, too. You made a bad decision. So you need to own that, at least. And that's the whole thing. And we got people now doing all this stuff, and then it backfires on them. And then they say, well, like, I'm just a victim. And it's like, I can tell you, and over the course of my lifetime, I've made decisions where I knew that there was going to be a bad outcome in a way. Like when I went against my landlord to get the heat and hot water turned back on, I knew I was going to pay for that. And I did pay for it, too, in a big way. But I won. I got our heat and hot water turned back on, but I knew that victory was going to come at a price, and it did. Because this guy was connected with the police and everything else. I've also chosen to go against the police many times when they were being corrupt. I was in the right in those situations because the police were overstepping or the police were exercising corruption or being abusive or whatever. But I do pay a price for that. And I recognize when I choose to take those kinds of battles on that I am going to pay a price. So I choose to pay that price when I do that. You know? And so, see, and that's part of being a man, too, is recognizing that your decisions have consequences, both good and bad, and that when you decide, say, to go against power, for example, which I have often done, you are going to pay a price for that. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't go against power. I think there are times that you should. And I think for the most part, when I've chosen to go against power, I was in the right. And I don't regret going against power. But what I'm saying is, don't go against power and then be surprised when you have to pay a price for having done so. You know, because that is going to happen. Because unfortunately, we're living in a fallen world, and that's how it is. Just like don't choose to go into the bad neighborhood and then be surprised when you get mugged. I can't believe I got mugged here. Well, I can. You know, that's a place where people get mugged. So, yeah, in fact, I'd be more surprised if you didn't get mugged. You know, don't stand on the corner in the bad neighborhood counting your money with a fistful of cash because you're going to get robbed. It's a stupid thing to do. And that's the whole thing anyway. It's like, yeah, if you get robbed, yes, you're a victim, but you need to own your share of the responsibility in that too. And the same is true for me in my current situation. In some respects, I'm a victim. I was dealing with some pretty heinous individuals when it come to the guy I was working for, and who was also my landlord then because I rented a house off him and his woman. These are people you should not trust. I'm not going to say who they are. He's an auctioneer, local to here. Well, now they've moved up north of here, actually. He doesn't do very much here anymore. But the bottom line is this. You know, I put too much trust in people. I believed people I shouldn't have believed. And these were people who had a proven track record of not being believable. I'm not the first one they burned. So, I mean, I can't say that I didn't have at least an opportunity to know what these people were about. And now I'm in the boat I'm in. Now I'm in this situation. So, yes, they played their part. But, it'd be hypocritical of me to say, and it would be irresponsible of me to say, that I didn't at least contribute to my own situation that I'm in now, you see. And it's far easier to get into this situation than it is to get out of it. Once you're in this situation, it's a friggin' hole that you gotta claw your way back up out of. I've been trying to do it now for 3 years, or 4 years, for 4 years. And, I'm having a hell of a time. I mean, it's just not, and I'm not getting any younger. I don't want to be living like this when I'm 70 years old, assuming I live that long. And 70 years of age isn't really that far away. I'm 56 now. I'm going to be 57 this year. So, anyway, yeah. Yeah, my face always gets itchy, when I'm doing these videos. I'm not normally doing this all the time, but when I do these videos, for some reason it does this. My face gets itchy. Anyway, that's it. I saw that video of that young woman, and I thought, right there, that's a problem. And it's not just a problem with her. I shouldn't just pick on her. It's a problem I see a lot in society. This abdication of personal responsibility, and also this trend toward, if you have an issue or whatever, then the best way to address it is not to address it. Just get rid of it. As she said, just get rid of it. It's not a solution. Not really. Anyway, that's it for now. We'll talk to you later.